Great. Thank you guys for joining us for this webinar. My name's Principal Lopez, and thank you guys also for your participation in our duck cover drill for the great shakeout. We really appreciate everyone's flexibility with that. So today I wanted to spend time talking about expectations when students are out of class and just some of the things that we're seeing and just what we can do better as a whole school community. And so I wanted to take time to talk about that. And then just how how everyone can participate in doing better for us as a school. So our objectives today really is understanding the impact that being out of class has on our school and class culture, and then developing some clear guidelines for all students, staff, and community support our students being in class. Pretty easy, right? So I want to sort of ground us in kind of what our priorities. So our number one priority here at school is safety and every student's well-being. I talk about this quite often because it's something that I'm very proud of, but our school last year, when students were given a survey, we had 90% saying that they felt welcome. They agreed with feeling welcome and supported here on campus, the highest number of any other schools in the district. And so I'm super proud of that. But with that, comes sort of clear expectations. And when we see things that are issues, really calling them out and calling us in so that we can develop better ways of handling situations. So we've noticed a significant number of students out. And just the biggest thing and the biggest fear that I have is when we have the significant number of students out and if there were to be an emergency or like an earthquake, for example, it's a lot of students unaccounted for. And so really, I want to make sure that we're tightening up so that we don't have up to 45 students out at a time, which is what I observed on Friday. And so we all can do a better part. And so we want to really talk about that as a collective whole. So famous line, I hear this daily, if not 3 to 4 times a day. You know who you are who uses this. When I ask, how long have you been out? The thing that I get, sometimes I don't even ask a question. It's, I just got out. Famous response. Multiple people tell me this all the time. I just got out. So, but in all seriousness, I think I just want to state that even being out for 5 minutes has a lasting impact on the number of instructional minutes you are missing. And we'll take a look at the chart just so you can see, like, even being out for 5 minutes really impacts the class that you're out for. Now, I'm not saying don't ever use the restroom, but I think I just want people to understand when you take breaks or when you're out for a significant amount of time, it does have an impact on the instructional minutes. And also when you come back to class, sometimes that takes away from the teacher being able to work with the whole class and having to work with individuals. So I did a little left. We're going to read this left to right instead of up down, but I kind of calculated being out 5 minutes from one class every day. So maybe you're just a 5-minute break or you're using the restroom once a day in class. Just so that you know what that calculates to, we're looking at about 900 minutes or 15 hours that you're out of class. That's the same as missing 5 days of instruction for one specific class. So you might think that that's not huge, but 5 days is still 5 days. So just something to be mindful of. The other thing is you might be a student who's out for 5 minutes for every class period. And so what that calculates to is 54 hours of instructional minutes or 18 days of one class, up to 6 full days. So just thinking about missing 18 days of one class or 6 full days is a lot. But we typically have people who are out for longer than 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes because you get distracted or you take the long way. I usually see that one, taking the long way or doing maybe 2 laps. But 10 minutes every day per class is 102 hours that you're missing. 102 hours, which is 36 days of instruction for one class, or up to 12 full days. 12 full days of being gone is a significant number of time. That's 2 weeks out. And for 6-week grades, you're missing 1/3 of your instructional time there. And so I bring this up because even though the number of students who fall into maybe this 10-minute category is like 2 to 3%, it's still 2 to 3%. And some of us might be in the 5 minutes, but I think it's really important that we all understand what this means and what this potentially has on our instructional minutes. So I want to kind of go over some clear expectations for everyone so that we're all on the same page. Now, if you are hearing these or reading these and you're like, Mr. Lopez, I disagree, or I agree, or whatever you're feeling, I'm always down to hear students out and hear their thoughts. So feel free to talk to me. But for now, here's kind of our expectations. Restrooms aren't available 15 minutes before and after class. If it's an emergency, any one of the APs, counselors, administration, we can help in supporting that, but you have plenty of time during passing, breaks, lunch to use restrooms. I often see people hanging out around the restrooms who are then late and then all of a sudden need to use the restroom. So that's one of our first things. The next, only one student should be out at a time. I know some classes maybe send 3 or 4 or 5 people out because maybe you have multiple passes. So the expectation is one student out of class at a time. So students, just a reminder, I do need you to be patient. And if a student's out for longer, I'll get to that in a second. Also, being on cell phones seems to be the main reason people get out. And so when people are taking a break and you're on your cell phone, sometimes that stimulation isn't really a break. So cell phones should be checked in with the teacher before you go out to use the restroom. If you don't have a pass, so if you're out of class and you don't have a pass, you'll be receiving a detention. So this is kind of where, when I talk about staff and where we need staff support, if you're someone who's missing a restroom pass or you don't have one, let us know so that we can get one for you. But any student who doesn't have a pass out moving forward will be issued a detention. And then we've also put up markers in the restroom. There should be no more than 5 students in the restroom. You know who you are. 6 people or 8 people getting ready in the mirror. But I'm asking us to also be mindful that we should use the restroom and head out. So there should be only 5 people in a restroom at a time. There's going to be yellow spots next to each restroom. You can wait out there, and then once spots become available, head inside. But I do want us to start to free up the restroom because it's become a little uncomfortable if you're trying to use the restroom and then there's 10 people getting ready in there. For staff, if students are gone for over 5 minutes, call us and let us know. Now, I know emergencies come up. I know things come up where we might be out for longer and stuff. And so we can talk about that offline or one-on-one, but a reasonable amount of time as a student should be gone about 5 minutes. If you're a class that maybe takes a break because you just, you need that, you need to pause, take the students around with you for a little while, just make sure that no students left unattended. So typically just having a hold on where you guys go, that there's a designated area and that everybody knows the boundaries of which they can take the break in. And if you are missing the pass, I mentioned this earlier, let the office know or one of us so that we can get that printed for you. We'll also be ordering lock boxes for cell phones. So again, checking in the cell phone, if you don't have somewhere to lock it up or you don't have a place where you can hold it, definitely let us know. We're going to be working on ordering those in the next week or 2, okay? The other thing I wanted to talk about, so that's one piece. The other thing is updates on social probation. So we've gotten some feedback from some students and really helped us in rethinking social probation as a whole. And so I want to make sure that we talk about that collectively here today as well. So some of the changes are things that we are often hearing as questions. When can you serve detention? So this is one of the changes that we've made. So in the past, we've had room 57 open at lunch as the only option. We've extended it to be the library for tutoring, which is before school and after school. Now, please note that if you are going to serve detention, you should bring something to work on. It's not, oh, I have everything done, I'm going to be on my phone. You should have something that you're bringing. If not, we'll give you a couple things to work on. But the idea is using this time is also for a time for you to catch up on grades and stuff. And so you'll have before school and after school in the library, 57 will still be available. The other thing is if you schedule time with a teacher and you want to connect with the teacher at lunch or before school, you can do that as well. Please note that you don't serve a detention by showing up outside of a teacher's door unannounced and waiting for them to get there. That doesn't count. So you do need to schedule that ahead of time. How can I check my tardies? This is a question we often get. I wish we had a better answer. Right now, it's all on a spreadsheet that we are checking, but you can check with any AP campus supervisor up here in the main office. We are trying to get more people used to being able to check it, but I know it's a little bit of a challenging thing. Ideally, we would like students to be able to check for themselves, but we haven't gotten to that point. We're still trying to figure out if there's a way through areas that we could do it or potentially Canvas. Can tardies be excused? That's a no. No tardies can be excused, only absences. So I just wanted to state that just so that everyone knows. I know that traffic, because of the construction and stuff going on, is challenging. I know some of us have reasons we can't get here in the morning. If you're someone who's having issues getting here, we stress this every time. Please, please, please let us know so that we can figure out if you need a bus pass, if there's certain supports or structures that we can get for you. But talk to any administrator, any teacher, a counselor, just let us know what might be some of the hurdles so that we can help. I know that the construction out here is a big mess and there's not a lot we can do about that at this point. But I think if you're having other issues as far as getting to school, we definitely want to talk through and support you with that. And then social probation last 6 weeks. So this is the big change that we're making is we are going to be looking at it every week and pulling data. And I'll kind of show you on my map here on my calendar so that you can kind of understand. So first, what is social probation? It's 8 or more unserved detentions. Most people already know that. But what happens is when you're on that, you can't participate in sports or activities or things like that. So what we're doing now is we're going to be looking at the data every week. So we pull our data every Wednesday. So Thursday, students get notified that they're on social probation. So if we're looking at my September map here from earlier this year, if I have 8 or more detentions that are unserved by the 7th, that data gets pulled. On the 8th, I get notified that I'm on social probation. So I'm on social probation all the way until the 14th when we pull data again. So what will happen on the 14th, if I went under 8 or more detentions, then I get taken off social probation. If I don't, then I'm still on social probation for another week. So every week we pull data. If you have 8 or more unserved detentions, you're on social probation that week, and you won't be able to participate in sports or activities for that full week. And again, every Thursday we notify you if you're on it because we pull data on Wednesday. So just keep those dates in mind. Wednesday, we pulled the number of tardies. If you have 8 or more on Thursday that are unserved, you get notified that you are on social probation. Okay, I see a question in the chat. If a student claims they do not have a phone to give, what should teachers do? Yeah, so there's a couple options. One is we can either escort you with a campus supervisor or an administrator. That's not a problem. Or if there's something else you want to check in, I know we do this a lot of times when people need to, step out and grab something, but we can work with individuals if they don't have a phone. So we'll work with teachers one-on-one, but right now we can help in supporting and bringing students to the restroom if need be for that. The other thing I wanted to stress, and I don't think I made a slide for it, but flex period, students shouldn't be using the restroom at all during flex period. So right now, and then on Friday, no students should be out. You should be using the restroom before and after. So just a heads up on that, okay? Oh, great, I just answered the next question. I'm already ahead of the game. So yeah, so flex, students should be in class. There shouldn't be any reason you need to use a restroom. Obviously, if there's an emergency or things happen, you can always contact us at the office and we can try to send someone to come pick you up. But the idea is that with flex time being right after lunch, we should be using that time to use the restroom at lunch. Feel free to use the Q&A button. We still got about 15 minutes or so, a little over 15 minutes, but I'll hang around here. These were the 2 main things that I wanted to address school-wide with everybody, so that we're all on the same page. And honestly, like my number one thing is our safety and knowing where every student is. And I know sometimes it seems frustrating, like we have these rules and we have these systems, but honestly, like we do want to make sure each and every student's protected here. And so the best way of doing that is knowing where you guys are at all times. Good question. Who do we contact if a student's been out for more than 5 minutes? Call up to the office, let us know, so we can go find the student. Now, if it's becoming a habitual thing where maybe a student is out for more than 5 minutes and we're picking a student up multiple times, we may have to go into having an escort for you to use the restroom. And again, hoping that we don't get to that point, but just something to think about. Yeah, so I think as far as call the 3100 because it rings to all of us out here, that's probably the best number to call. Don't call any individual. Yeah, I shared these slides, but I'll share them again just so that everyone has them. And then I'll link this also in my newsletter. I'll send this video out so that everyone has it as well. Okay, well, I'm going to stay on here just in case students are having questions or any classes are having questions. You can ask a question about any of this or just anything in general. I'm on here for the next 10-15 minutes, so feel free to ask any questions classes want. Now's a good time. Yeah, and as far as snacks go, you can get snacks in the morning. I hand out snacks every day at 8 a.m. in the front of the school. You also have brunch, you have lunch. So students shouldn't be needing to get snacks or leaving school to get snacks. We have plenty of opportunities for you to get snacks in the morning, break, and lunch. You can always take as much as you want from me. That's never been a problem. So load up reasonably, just make sure that it's eaten all. Today's not an open flex, it is a closed flex, and Tuesdays are the only days that we have open flex. Okay, good question. Policy about students who ask to go to the health office and are taking a chunk of time. I think the biggest thing is if you're running into issues, and this is more for a staff, if you're running into issues where maybe students are going to the health office every day or every period, definitely reach out to the AP and or counselor so that we can support. There are some reasons that people need to check in, and that is well known here. Our health clerk, Ms. Lopez, already knows the reason behind that. But if some people are just using it to get out of class, we definitely want to follow up with home, see if there's supports that we can be given. And if it's happening in one class, it could be happening in multiple classes. So we definitely want to address that. Yes, and also one of the things that we will also be starting here for students who get sent up to the AP or the office, you'll be checking your phone in when you walk in. So Mr. Ann has a lockbox. So anytime a student gets sent up here, you'll be checking your phone in up here as well. Just because we've had some issues around cell phone usage, and so we want to try to tighten that up as well. It will be locked up. Yes, thank you. Good question. Does this mean I can have 7 detentions to serve every week or a total for the 6-week period? So the max, we'd still do the 6-week period. So your number of your number of tardies should be 7 or less during the span of the 6-week grading period. If it's not, then you're put on social probation. We'll be able to look at it every week. So if you get that number down, that's great. You'll be off social probation, but you could get put back on if those numbers increase. So just a reminder about that. And the end of the grading period isn't until the end of next week. So just a friendly reminder about that. DoorDash, our love-hate relationship with DoorDash. So as of right now, I just want to be super clear. I messaged this out to families in a newsletter. Students, please, please, please do not open the door for individuals or for DoorDashers or anything like that. We have a drop-off area here in the main office. I'm totally fine at this point with people dropping off food, but we should not be jeopardizing our campus by opening any gates for any individuals, even if we're just going to run out and grab food. Not under any circumstances. We have a place for food to be dropped off. We're going to use that now. If we can't you seem to use this and we have issues around this, we'll have to cancel not having DoorDash or any of those delivery food services. So please, 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 you can put instructions, drop off in the main office. They've done it many, many times, but we don't want any student leaving campus at all, period. How long do they have to serve after school for it to count as a served detention? Good question. So it's about roughly 30 minutes, give or take a few. So the before school, after school is about 30 minutes, same as our lunch detention. So that's our time that we allow. Okay, good note on an issue with one of the doors. So I'll look into that. Thank you. Yeah, so the thing about restrooms, just to remind everyone, the restrooms won't be available to use the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes. They are available to use during passing period. They are available to use during the class, but no student should be let out the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes. So if you're asking to use the restroom at the first 5 minutes, can you guess what the response should be for that? Hopefully someone said no in the class is what I'm guessing, but. Okay, if my lunch is delivered after lunchtime, can I come pick it up during class? So my friends with DoorDash, you can decide what time food gets here. You should have food delivered when we have lunch. You shouldn't be leaving class to go get food. So again, you can pre-plan your DoorDash. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. So I know that you can request food to be delivered at a certain time. So again, you can do that, but it needs to go to the office. We're not opening up gates, and you're definitely not going to be coming to pick up food while class is going on. No one should be bringing food back for them to eat inside class or outside of class, okay? Okay, and then a question about the cell phone rules. So again, I'm guessing that the cell phone rule is around the restroom, or maybe it's using the cell phone in class, but for the restroom piece, you'll check your phone in if you need to go out and use the restroom with your teacher. And again, teachers will work on getting those lock boxes, but I just don't know how quickly they'll be here. So as soon as we get them, we'll start distributing those to everybody, okay? All right, we've got less than 10 minutes, so I'll stick around here in case there's any last minute questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording at this time because I think we are good.